What's up? What's up? What's up? This is Tuck without Prina. You know, she's not feeling well today, so everybody send some well wishes out to her. But I'd like to thank everybody for checking out BOREDinDE. If you haven't already, check out the site, www.boredinde.com. Be sure to get on the mailing list to be notified when we do updates and everything like that. And yes, we are actually starting to hold openings. So if you have something that you do and you're from Delaware, you want to come up here and share it with us, definitely, hit us up on the contact page and everything like that. But I would like to welcome everybody to episode 5. Yes, we're 5 episodes in. And this one here, I have the privilege and honor of sitting with 3 gorgeous women. 3 gorgeous. I mean, one of them so gorgeous, she went to the bathroom to, get her hair right and everything. The other 2 came in and they were ready to go, but one of them, she was like, hold on, I need to use the bathroom. And she came back, straight star-studded. So if she's in a production of yours, you probably know that, Mr. DeVille, we got to get her in the chair for the makeup and everything first before she shows up. And
yes, everything. Pam is special.
Yes. Yes, but tonight's episode 5, is we're going to be discussing black women in theater. Not necessarily local theater, but this is a local show, so we're going to talk about that. But by no means are none of these 3 ladies just local performers. They travel and they do everything. And, my buddy Ivy, drinking partner, harassment mate and everything like that, she wears so many hats in theater, like we could run an episode by herself.
True.
And everything, but she says she's going to backpedal a little bit and share the limelight because Pam's definitely a heavy worker as well.
Yes.
And Shama.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I will butcher her name. I should have did my little thing like that. But yeah, she's a new friend. She's the newest friend, but still got love for her and everything. And she's very busy and everything. So I am going to get the camera off my ugly mug and put it on them and everything. So there we go. We got Ivy, we got Pam in the middle, and Shama.
Hi.
Yeah, I don't know why I want to say Shama.
Yeah, Shama.
I have to stop butchering people's names. So how y'all ladies doing tonight?
Good.
And I appreciate you girls coming through for BOREDinDE on a cold Sunday night.
Oh, it's a beautiful Sunday night.
It's actually beautiful.
It's still 50 degrees outside. It's raining.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love the rain.
Me too. I love her rain.
I love
the
rain.
Well, I know if you say it's cool because me and you, we know cold elements because me and Ivy, we're always out. So and if Pam says it's good, then because Pam be the first one to tell you like, no, it's cold. It's cold and everything. So Ivy, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
We know that you're definitely an avid supporter of the arts.
I am.
But I want you to take a moment and just dig deep into the things that you have done, not just locally, but everywhere else in the arts and everything. Cause like I'm looking at your bio here, and I see that you were on the board of directors of several arts organizations. Wilmington Children's Chorus,
Yes.
Christiana Culture Arts Center,
Yes.
and Delaware All-State Theater.
Yes.
And everything. Now, I see that you were a co-director for Fringe Wilmington.
I was, yeah.
What was Fringe Wilmington? Because I'm not familiar with that.
So Fringe Wilmington was an organization that was started by Tina Betts and Rick Newman when they were still working for the mayor's office of cultural affairs and for Mayor Jim Baker. When they went out of office and Mayor Williams came in, Jenny Barton and I took that over. It was really, really led by Jenny, and she just gave me the privilege and the opportunity to be her co-director. And so we had to keep that Fringe Wilmington going. And it basically was an opportunity for unusual art, and I put that in quotes, but it's unusual art for it to happen in and around Wilmington. So we did like things like unusual films or in a 24-hour filmmaking contest, just unusual art. Like one of the things that we that Fringe Wilmington has been known for is like the Ass Chronicles, which is about
the Ass Chronicles.
Yes, and I know you love that, Tuck.
we can speak on.
Oh yes, we can, and it's just that it's about it was a show which featured several black women talking about what it's like to have ample asses.
So you was a star of the show?
Of course not.
I'm sorry, folks. That's an inside running joke with me and Ivy.
It's true.
Because I met Ivy's booty before I met her.
That's true. It like walks into, it has its own fan club. It walks into the room. Yeah.
But But don't get it twisted. We still friends. The booty not so much, but me and Ivy as a whole are friends and everything. So,
but more than that, the French Wilmington was an opportunity for artists to be able to share their original works in a way that was sometimes unusual for some people. But just, they might not always get an opportunity. They're not being featured at the Grand or the Playhouse or, these mainstream arts institutions. So we were able just to give artists an opportunity to showcase their works. So French Wilmington.
Okay, yeah, and you did the things I never told my mom. I remember when you were soliciting information for that,
yes.
The stories and everything.
So that was presented just this past year in the Philly Fringe, and actually we were really successful, and it was really a wonderful opportunity. We got over 50 submissions to anonymously because, of course, some people submitted stories that were heartbreaking and wonderful, and mean, and just the gamut of emotions. So we got over 50 stories from both men and women, and I need to make that clear because even though we were women that presented it, it was stories that came from us from all walks of life, from both men and women, and we presented them in a way that you couldn't. We wanted to make sure that we were truthful to the story that were shared with us, but at the same time, we didn't want, like, if you brought your mother, we didn't want them to be like, oh,
she's talking about this is our story.
Me. Right.
Okay.
So we did it in a way that was just. That just protected the person who shared the story.
Okay.
And it was life-changing for me. I have to admit, like, I submitted my own story anonymously, so I was one of the 50 that submitted a story. But for me, as a supporter of the arts, it made me realize that this is the kind of art that I want to continue to support, and it was just a wonderful experience. And so we're working on a new project called Coincidence for next year's Philly Fringe.
Okay. Wow, I see that there now. Last thing before I, because I don't want the other two to think that it's just me and you and everything like that.
Yeah, because, we're cool.
I had the honor of sitting on backstage when you were doing Starcatcher, because I had no idea what Starcatcher was, and Ivy put me to work. I thought I was going to be sitting there chilling. Ivy's like, no, I need you to go to PA and get this guy and bring him back, and while you're there, I need you to film the fall and send me the video. So she got on me about that and everything, but I thought that was decent because, like I said, you were the one that opened my eyes to the arts here, because, like I was sharing earlier, that my ignorance compared what you ladies do to stage plays, and that kind of turned me off, and you were like, no, there's an absolute difference. And when you shared that with me, I'm like, oh, okay. And then seeing Starcatcher behind the scenes was like, wow, these cats really go all out, because the gentleman I went to pick up, he was like their stunt coordinator and stuff like that. And the car ride with him alone was worth the price of admission, because he shared with me about how he was a stunt person and how he did this, and this, but now he's disabled and retired, so...
So one of the things, just really fast, if I could just say this really quickly, is that as I was coming here tonight and I was getting dressed and I was, doing my makeup, and I was thinking about, like, what this interview would be about tonight, one of the things that I want to say, especially since we're talking about Black people in theater, is that, a lot of us, we have one idea about what we think theater is. And I think as Black people, sometimes we think it belongs to them. So we don't train our young people to be in theater until we become adults, and then we realize that there's this whole world that's open to us. But many times we don't have the training necessary to be in theater once we reach adult age. So my message would be to many people of color is that it's not just for them. Theater is for everyone. It's about the artist, and it's about the work. It's not just for white people. It's for all of us. And it's the stories that we tell, so many of us can identify with those stories. Peter and the Starcatcher is not a Black story. It's not a white story. It's just a story. And so many of us can identify with that story. Same thing with Things I Never Told My Mother. Those were stories that we told about our relationships with our mother. They're not white stories. They're not Black stories. They're not Latino stories. They're just stories about our relationships with our mother. And we can all take something from that. So tonight, I would hope that when we talk about being Black women in the theater, that I hope that we can also agree that the theater is for everyone. And I think we all need to sort of, like, get out of that mindset that like the theater versus stage plays versus this versus
Because you
that.
definitely helped me with that. Because when you was like, fool, you live down the street.
Right.
How could you not be here? And I'm like, I don't do stage plays, and your whole expression changed when I said, "You like
everyone's
stage plays."
Everyone's
Like,
expressions change when
like,
you say
what?
that
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
I was like, "Oh man, nah, Ivy, I can't."
Exactly.
it's very offensive.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, I can't beat Ivy, man. Please, please let her know this is a mistake. Please let her know this is a total mistake. Now, Pam, you know, when I first met you, I think it was it at the studio or I can't remember
I have
exactly
no
how
idea.
I met you, but
I have no
I had first came. I thought you were just a singer. It wasn't until we started corresponding that it was like, oh damn, you're an actress too. I didn't know that.
Well, that's how I got into
No.
acting, though. So
Through
from
singing.
yes, because I just knew a few years ago that I wanted to sing, but I just didn't know how. So I literally just tried out for a musical one day, and ever since then
What was the musical?
it was Oliver at the Children's
Was
Theater.
it?
Yes.
Okay.
I just tried out for anything, and ever since then I just started doing theater. That's how I got started, and now I love acting. So.
Yeah, cause like I knew you had some pipes on you, and I was like, yo, she don't drop enough videos. You know, you usually do little videos when you singing in the house or something
Yeah.
like that. I'm like, yo, we need more of that and stuff like that and everything. I always wanted to see you cover something, like cover.
I'm
like,
working on
stuff
that.
like
I'm working on that right
okay,
now.
Okay, yeah, cause I've definitely been a fan and everything.
Thank you.
And it was just like when you said you acted, I was like, well, damn, I guess that is a natural progression and everything like that. And stuff like that. But let me see here. You also did some stuff at the Women's Drama League, and you did the national anthem for Delaware 87ers,
Yep,
huh?
I used to sing for them.
Oh wow, did not know that.
Yeah.
But you know what I got to ask you though?
What's that?
What the hell is up with Petty Pam? You got to let me know what's up
Oh
with
my
that.
God, that is coming soon. I worked really hard on that. That's actually been an idea of mine for probably 2 years now, and I've been trying to work on it, and a lot of things are just being thrown at me, but I'm still pushing through, and it's coming together. I've thrown out the casting call, so I'm casting now, looking for new faces, all types of people to just be a part of it, and I'm ready to go. The script's already written. I'm just ready to go.
Because you know,
Awesome.
I like to go by Petty Pablo, but I'm like, her name is Pam, so it's like Petty Pam, and then the picture you have advertising, like you're looking through, I'm like, wow, I bet she is petty and shit. But I never been around.
Everyone does call me Betty, so.
I never been around you when we actually had a chance to go petty, but now I'm like, you know what, Ivy, we gotta get Pam to come out to the Nomad and stuff like that. We got to see how petty she really is.
We love Pam.
Cause we go hard. Cause like me and Ivy will get mad at people for doing the same shit we doing. Like we might have a conversation while band's playing that we might not like all the tunes or something, but if it's a band we like, we want everybody to shut up. Everybody has to shut up. I mean, you shut up. I don't care. This whole table needs to shut up. And we're like, yo, but we do the same shit.
Wow.
So yeah, so we all know about Petty and everything like that.
Yes.
And I know I came across a clip. It looks like you were in, I'm not sure if it was a music video or some sort of advertisement where you were in a restaurant
Yes.
and everything like that.
It was a music video.
Okay.
Yep.
Where I think you were the girlfriend or
No.
something?
Well, I was one of the girlfriends. So it's kind of a few different stories tied into one. A Wood, he's a rapper. He's very dope. He lives in Delaware.
Okay,
that was
holler at
his
him,
music
get him
video.
up on the show.
Yeah, yeah, he's doing big things. He's a very nice guy. It was his music video, and basically it was a whole bunch of different stories going on, and we just all happened to be in the same restaurant, but we didn't know each other. But we just happened to be in the same restaurant, and there was a whole bunch of conversations, people arguing, but that's kind of how we were communicating, like, while they were arguing with us, like that was like their lyrics, how they were like talking to us and stuff. And it's really cool. I love that music video. So
Yeah, because you definitely went in, like, and you had the whole Petty Pam look and everything like that, too. And everything. But that was actually before I knew Petty Pam was coming out. But I'm like, damn, Petty Pam. I'm almost bad that I ain't come up with that. Like, damn, Petty Pam. But I'm definitely looking forward.
Thank you.
Now, say your name again because I know I'll mess it up. Shama. Yo, I'm so
You're
bad.
terrible.
I'll tear somebody's name up. I have to say, I need to say it 7 times. Shama, shama, shama,
Yeah.
shama, 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 come here, it's like,
Yeah. I've heard that before, though.
oh, damn, so that wasn't new.
Not even original. You weren't even original with it.
Now, I think you're the rookie on the team. You only
Yeah.
been actress for 2 years.
Yes.
And that decision was made after you lost employment? Or
Yeah,
got laid
I
off?
got laid off from my job, kind of unceremoniously, and I went through a period about like 7 to 8 months of soul searching, and I was in unemployment, and while I was there, I had to take a required class. Thanks, Obama. It was a required class that I had to take, and they recognized acting as a job in the Department of Labor. So that kind of planted the seeds. And then I was still poor, and I had to, I did manage to find a part-time job just as a waitress, but I needed more money. So I used to do modeling back when I was a teenager, and I thought maybe I'll just go back into that. And I met up with an agent, and she was like, you should probably add some acting to your resume. So that's how I got started. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
That is.
Yo, real quick, Prina said, hi, Ivy. I went to school. She said, Tuck, I went to school with Ivy.
She did.
Wow.
High school.
Small world, small world.
Yeah, let me say.
And Prina also chimed in saying that every play, every production, every acting stage opportunity, Ivy was in that mix. While we were acting a fool, she was really taking it serious. She was all in. It was all awesome to watch her. She was fully committed to her craft. Her posture was even different. Well, I know about that posture because I spent some time with her in the bar, and we talk a lot, and she shared with me about, how she's like a dancer, and I was like...
Okay, can we not discuss everything?
I was like, dancer? I was like, yeah, I want to know more about that. She was like, nah, fool, not that type of dancer. I was like, okay. Yeah, but I see you worked on 7 live theater projects.
Yeah.
And, you were nominated for an award. No.
Okay.
Yes. I was nominated for Best Actress in a Play, Non-Professional, for Titanic, Tragedy and Trial. It's for Reedy Point Players. So, yeah.
Wow. And you also have one independent feature film?
Muda, When Time Is All That Matters. It was shot in Philadelphia by a Liberian production company, and it got recently picked up for distribution in Africa. So.
Oh wow, that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And that was by accident too. I was supposed to be an extra, and then the woman that was supposed to play the lead character's sister was sick and didn't show up that day, and I was like the only other woman. So they were like, okay. You have to play the sister. And then for it to make sense, because he and I look completely different, they had to add a whole extra scene with like a whole family, and that's how it came to be.
So her loss, your gain. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God for the flu.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just like that and everything. But like, let me ask the question, then we'll start from Ivy, Pam, and Shama.
Shama.
I'll just say my own name. Just point to me and
No. We're bigger than that. Because usually, like I said, my co-host, she's not feeling well and everything, but she is tuning in, and usually she be like, boy, how many times she got to say it before you get it right? Come on now. If it was alcohol, you'd have been like, Shama.
True.
Yeah.
True.
If it was alcohol, I'd been just like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's probably sitting in bed now talking about, oh, he's fucking her name up there and everything. But how long have you been interested in theater? Like, was this something that you got into in your teen years, or just...
No, for me personally, no. It's something that came about when I worked on Fringe Wilmington. So I've had a career in television. I've had a career in film, and so I've always been a producer and director in both film and TV. And so I just wondered if those skills were transferable to the theater world. And if you know my children, William and Caleb Brock, they're both professional actors now. But when they were kids, they were pursuing also careers. Even as kids, they were pursuing acting careers. So I just wanted to see, like, as a mom, I'm supporting these kids, if the skill set that I had in these other 2 media, if they would transfer to theater. So for me, I literally asked someone like, hey, I'm looking to maybe transfer into theater. Maybe I want to direct. Do you have a directing job? And my first job was Lips Together, Teeth Apart 3 years ago, where I met my producing partner, crazy, Rebecca May Flowers, who is a Philadelphia artist and as a working artist. And she and I have done, I think, about 5 or 6 projects together now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And you, Pam, when did you get interested in theater?
Literally when I said that I wanted to sing, so that was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I want to say.
Okay.
So that's when I got into it.
But you've been singing since day one, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been singing. I actually used to play instruments. I used to play the piano. I used to dance, all that. But theater itself, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago.
So then that's is between that and music, is that your main love, or music is still your main love?
Music is always my main
and
love.
everything, but theater
Yeah.
theater is something that you thoroughly enjoy
Yeah.
and everything. And how about you, dear?
Okay.
See, I said dear.
Yeah.
Slid out that one.
So I have like kind of a weird background. So both of my parents used to be actors. They had me kind of young, but they used to do theater themselves. So I kind of grew up around. They quit because they were young and poor and had a kid. So like they had to kind of
real job.
real job. So I never considered theater to be a real job because they weren't successful at it. But I've seen it throughout the years. But I just didn't take it seriously until like a couple of years ago. So yeah.
Cool. Now, being in theater, especially local theater, do you get a lot of people that when you tell them what you do, they kind of look at you like this is Delaware, like?
No, actually, me personally, no, because Delaware actually is very active on the theater scene. I mean, for us to be such a small place, we only, technically Wilmington proper only has 72,000 people that live here, and yet we have 5 major arts organizations here. So we have we have the Grand, we have the Playhouse, we have Delaware Theater Company, we have City Theater Company, we have the ballet for State Ballet. We have, actually, it's not an unusual thing if you're from Delaware to be involved in the arts here, because again, to be such a small place, we have a lot of major arts organizations right here in town.
And you think most likely why people come off like that is because they're not familiar, because those places you name, I know them now because I'm your friend. But
Right.
before then, I'm like, if it wasn't all one strip, like if we didn't have a Theater00 or anything like that, I wouldn't know.
I do think there's a disconnect between arts organizations and communities. I think arts organizations want to reach out to communities that exist. They just don't know how, and they don't have the staff or the people in order to do that. So, but yeah, I don't get a look at all from anyone, because again, there's a lot of arts that are happening right here in our local community.
How about you,
I
Pam?
get that look.
You get that
Yes, I do. I don't, not so much from other artists, but well, it depends what type of art they're into. So some people, they'll just be like, musicals, theater, what is that?
See, because like I said, where I was ignorant and was comparing what you ladies do as far as stage plays, now I
Right.
know that's 2 separate items, not even in the same book.
Right.
Stage play is kind of like that nickel gum that you get at the corner store, and then what you guys do is that good gum that come in a little tube thing and everything. You kind of sit it in the cup holder in the car and everything. That's that good gum. When you be when people ask for it, you be like, no, you can't have that. That's a good gum. You can have that Bubblicious or that hard candy that it's all powdery and everything and stuff like that. So you do get the side eyes and
Yes,
things of that
I do.
sort
Yeah,
and everything.
I do.
Have you ever had somebody give you a hard time, but then they seen your
A
work
hard
or
time,
heard of you?
What do you mean?
Like let's say, somebody came on and was like, oh man, there ain't nothing popping in Delaware. Then they see your name
Oh,
somewhere
yes,
and be
yeah.
like, oh shit, I did see your name. Told you I was working.
Yeah, I used to get that a lot, especially when it comes to work and stuff, where just different places I used to work at. Used to be a lot of, you do theater, or I'm not coming to see that, all this other stuff. And then I remember one time I used to work in this one restaurant, and then it was a whole bunch of out and about magazines, and me and a whole bunch of other artists were on the front of it advertising.
I have that
the
one
show.
at home.
Me too. I have it
yeah.
hanging up.
I have it
But
framed at home.
It was just funny. They was like, "Oh, Pam," I'm like, "I know."
That's all you can
come
say.
support.
I know. Next time, come out. That's all.
Just come support. That's all.
How about you?
Yes and no. I think it was just more like you said. I'm going to use your word, disconnect. I said I was acting, and everybody's just kind of like, cool. And then there was this
That is what they do.
Yeah, not really anti, like, oh, like you're doing that in Delaware, but not really pro. I just don't think it really clicked until I actually started doing things. And then they're like, oh, you're actually doing things. Yeah. And then it was like, yeah, like
like you said, right?
Yeah, like I told you, yeah.
But I think if you're not an artist, I think a lot of people think that the arts are not for them. Theater, dance, the opera, and it's for all of us. It's not just for one demographic of a person. You can be whoever you are and come to see a show like Peter and the Starcatcher or Memphis or The Wiz or Wicked or Phantom of the Opera and enjoy it the same way that you would enjoy anything else. You just have to give it an opportunity.
Yeah, you do.
It's not just for a certain demographic of people. It's for all of us. And it's being made by all of us. But it's not being supported by all of us. And that's the important thing about the arts.
Okay. I always think that if somebody famous, well, Insta fame or whatever, somebody spoke on it, then I think more of us would go to it.
Yeah, we would go to it.
Like, I hate to say it, like, if somebody like a K. Michelle came out and was like, there it is, this, and this, you'll have everybody and their mom running to the theater.
Well, of course, look how Love Jones the musical, look how well that musical did. I mean, because it's like we are all familiar with it in our lives and with our culture, and then when it went on tour, like everyone and their mother went out to go see Love Jones the musical. But then we would have a show like, I don't know, just something different that maybe we wouldn't be as inclined to support, even though plenty of us would be, behind the scenes and on stage and, working in that kind of theater. It's really hard sometimes to convince us to go and support things like Peter and the Starcatcher, where we had me backstage and other actors of color, or Memphis, or even The Color Purple. I mean, it's hard to convince people of color to go see it, and it's a great show. I know you just saw it recently.
Yes,
it's a phenomenal show.
Yeah,
it's really hard to convince us though to go support it. It just is.
Because that's how we do.
But that's unfortunate because
it really is.
It's unfortunate because it's our story. It's a story that is being told by one of us, and it should be supported and out there, and we should be able to put the dollars behind a story that we are telling.
And you would definitely think so, but when it comes to us, we, like I said, unless somebody bigger than us that we like says something, everybody's quick reaction is like, nah, it's not for me. It's not for me.
But again, that still comes back to you don't know it's for you because you've never done it. It's just like sushi. Like you try food, like, oh, I don't like sushi. Have you ever tried it?
Right.
You know how many black people like in Mikimoto's right now because like they finally tried sushi. I mean, it's the same sort of thing. You don't know until you've tried it, and you'll probably really love it because it's wonderful. Live theater is wonderful.
I was like that too before I don't know what made me just jump into theater like that. I really don't.
We talked about that, you and I.
Yeah, but before then, I never went to plays. I never watched. When I went on school field trips, okay, this is cool, but I'm probably never going to try out for anything like this. Like, that's what I thought. And then once I got in there, I'm like, yo, I really love this. Like, it's amazing. And people really should come out and, really see what we're doing, and it's a lot of work too. And
Pam is a phenomenal actor. She just did last year. You did Cabaret, which is not actually a black story. It's a story about Jews in Nazi Germany. But the director cast nothing but people of color to tell that story. And what was that like? Because I'm sure that you could completely relate to their story.
It was very interesting. Trying to think, it was interesting. It was different because of everything that was going on. I don't want to get too much into politics, but that's kind of why he casted people of color, just to relate things that were going on with what happened last year versus the time with the Nazis as well. But it was interesting. I had to learn how to speak German a little bit and everything. So I thought it was a great message, and people should have came out and saw the show because we worked really hard on that too. So.
Yeah, you guys did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I love that show.
Yeah, I love that show.
I never seen that show before until I've still never seen it, but when I did it, I was like, yo, I really love this show. Yeah. I still listen to the music, and it's in German. So. Oh
wow! So you had to learn German just to actually play the part.
Yeah, a little bit.
What was your character's name?
Fräulein Kost.
Yeah, Fräulein.
Wow, that's something else. I don't know if I could learn German to for a part and everything like that.
You
know.
would if you.
The whole
you
play
would if you
wasn't
were
in
faster.
Then again,
It was like a
you know
German
what?
dialect.
I would learn German if it was free beer involved.
Hell yeah, you would. You would say beer as opposed to beer.
Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna stop acting like you know me.
I know.
This is
yeah.
about y'all, not about
True.
my
I actually
drinking
got a
habits
couple of
and all
my
that.
friends to come out to see that show, and they really
they love
enjoyed-
it?
Yeah, they really did.
You guys did a
Because they
phenomenal
weren't
job.
expecting it to be what it was, you know. So, especially when I was like, "Oh, Germany, blah blah," they weren't expecting like how we were going to our costumes, how we were going to be dressed, all that. They weren't expecting all that.
But again, I think that goes back to the point of we're telling stories that a lot of us can relate to, you know. And I think it really touched me. I've seen Cabaret before, but it really touched me to see it done with a cast of nothing but people of color, and just because the story that they're telling is universal. It has nothing to do with color. It's a universal story of being, you know, discriminated against and, you know, annihilated. These are entire people that have been annihilated at some point in history. That's
Right.
something we can definitely relate to as
Yeah.
people of color.
Yeah, definitely. Now let me ask you ladies this. And like I said, we'll start with Ivy, Pam.
Or we can start with Shama Shama.
Well, we can start with Shama. Shama, what was your first audition or leadership role? The leadership would more be for Ivy, but what was your first audition?
My very first audition was for a student film in Temple. So it was like a story about people that worked in a carnival. This one girl came from Taiwan, so it's centered around her, but I was supposed to be like a motherly type character. I didn't get that, and that was, but that was a student film.
Yo, I love her leeway. She was
like,
popping up in the back. I didn't get
it. Yeah, that's great.
But my first theater audition is the one I did get, which was Trillis and Cressida, and I played Alexander, which they changed to Alexandra, and that was a Shakespeare play.
Okay.
And we made the theme around Star Wars. So like it was
Oh, wow.
during the Trojan War, we made the Greeks the empire, and then the Trojans were kind of the rebellion, Alderaan type characters. So
I love Star Wars.
Yeah, me too.
Huge fan.
You, Pam? First audition?
So my actual first audition was with Gregory Morris. Do you know who that is? He lives in Delaware.
Yeah.
He did a show called Second Chances, and originally I did not get casted as it because I had too many conflicts, I think. But then, like, I think it was like 4 days before the show opened, and the person that was playing the role dropped out, and I just happened to meet Bernia Johnson, who was in it, and
Love
me too.
Bernia,
I just saw her yesterday.
Me too.
She called me. She was like, "Do you still want that part? Because we need somebody. We open in 4 days." And I learned like the whole script in like 2 days. And
good job.
yeah, that's just how it
Yeah.
went. But that was my first audition that I actually had.
Yeah, I love
So,
her. She's awesome.
Me too.
Now, Ivy, what was your first leadership role?
I've had several. So I've jumped from being like on the board and being, you know, in charge of marketing and things like that from theater to actually being on like a production crew. So my first time to being on like a board or leading, you know, PR and things like that was with the Wilmington Children's Chorus and also Delaware All-State Theater. They happened at the same time for me because my kids were little. And so whatever my kids were involved in, I wanted to be, you know, there and be supportive of that and to support other children that
You were
look
definitely
like them.
hands-on mom.
I'm a hands-on mom.
Definitely hands-on mom. I ain't gonna
And
front
to
with that.
support things that, you know, that they were involved in and support other children. So it's not just about my kids. I always wanted to make sure that that was involved. So that was probably about 10 years ago when those organizations started. And then when I decided to make the jump for myself, because now my kids are adults, when I made the jump to myself to say, this is something I'm really, really interested in, and I really want to be supportive of that. My first show was, like I said, Lips Together, Teeth Apart, where I was the assistant director to a director who's a professional director who's now my producing partner.
Now, you know what? When you said that, I'm sitting here with my lips together trying to keep my
I
teeth
know.
apart.
Let's do
I was in there like,
It sounds sexy, but it's so not. It sounds sexy,
you should have
right?
seen those.
It sounds
I
sexy.
said, I'm going to let
yeah,
her finish,
it's
but
not.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I have to ask this one because it's just demanding me. When you have that special someone, do you find that most of them don't really take what you do seriously, or like have you ever been in a relationship or dated somebody that it didn't work out because they didn't believe in you when it came to the art?
Well, it doesn't work out for other reasons, but they definitely sort of like, I remember being told like, oh, you artists or blah 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 blah. Like they brush us off for being too emotional or too whatever, and we are emotional and we are whatever, because that's I think what's being an artist is about, is sort of bringing all of those emotions and stories and everything to the table. But that's not the reason why a relationship ended. There's other things that are there.
Oh yeah, 'cause we mess up.
Yeah,
us men, we mess up. So.
But for me personally, not because I'm too much of an artist. That didn't, But definitely I've been told, like, oh, you artist people, like, whatever. Like, you're brushing me off.
Someone said to me before, this is not the drama theater. I'm like, I'm just asking you a question.
Right,
like, gosh, I told you I did.
So you trying to throw shade at
I told you I did theater, and you talking about this is not the drama theater. Like, I should never told you that.
Stop being a drama queen, yes.
I am staying single to work on my career. But I have had interactions with men where I tell them I'm an actress, and they get really weird. Like, I'll say, like, oh, yeah, like, I'm working as an actress. And they're like, oh, really? Tell me more. And I'm just like...
Like, not that kind of actress player.
Yeah, but I think there's a certain stigma to it with everything that's come out. That they just think that you're somebody that belongs on the casting couch and that you're willing to, like, sell your body for that part. So I think that's where that impression comes from.
Yeah, so. Your actresses, not bottle girls.
Exactly.
Yeah, and speaking of the whole Weinstein situation, something like that, have any of y'all ever faced anything like that from somebody that might have had the upper hand and be like, hey, if you really want this, you... Well, I know Petty Pam probably don't, because Pam looked like she read the book to her mother, so I wasn't worrying about what she and stuff. But Ivy would have cut him. We would have read about that in the paper. And poor Shama would just been like, okay,
no,
whatever.
Like, yeah. No, like for I've had people try to do power moves on me, but not necessarily men. You know what I mean? I just think I don't think it was anything sexual. I think it was just power corrupts. That's where I'm going with that. When they feel they have a little bit of power and then they try to swing that over you, and then they don't realize that I am the person that I am. Like, I get that I'm new to theater, but I'm not new professionally.
Right.
So, like, I have a different tolerance, like, where I'm just like, no, we don't play those games. Like, I can walk away from this at any moment. And I've noticed that I get treated with a little bit more respect.
So when you hit them with that, I could walk away from any moment, it's basically taking their power away from them. Like, I can't hold that over you anymore. Because you can just roll out and you'll be fine with it and stuff like that.
Because it's not a desperation. Like I said, I'm new to this industry. I came from human resources. I came from customer service. I have a pretty thick resume just professionally before coming into theater. So it's not that hard for me to just go back to a regular job. You know what I mean? So it's not... This is supposed to be fun.
Right.
But and the other thing I think is it's the entertainment industry, and we still have to understand that it's an industry, it's a business.
Yeah.
It's not just like, we're not just artists that are out there, and there is, again, to use that word, there's a disconnect. Like, when you say to someone you're an artist, they think that somehow or the other that you're not business minded.
Right.
And I personally also have worked with plenty of artists that are also not business minded. Like, it's still a business. You have to fundraise, you have to make, raise awareness. Like, you can't cut. A lot of organizations do this. They cut their marketing and PR. We're still a business. If you can't get asses in seats, you're not going to be able to pay your actors.
Right.
And it's a business, and we still have to treat it. It's fun and it's wonderful and lovely, and we're telling great stories. But in the end, at the end of the day, we still have to meet our bottom line.
Right.
So we still have to take it seriously. And there are a lot of people both in and outside of our industry that don't do that, and they need to.
Yeah. I agree.
Now, let me ask you, what was the response from your friends and or family when you announced you wanted to be a theater performer or just work in theater?
It was always expected, I think.
It wasn't a surprise.
Yeah,
it was expected.
Yeah, it's not a surprise.
How about you, Jen?
So for my friends, they were just like, oh, okay. Like, they didn't really take it seriously. Same for my mom and my dad. They just were like, okay, because at the time I actually, I was in school at the time, and I kind of like dropped out of school because I was like, this isn't for me. This is not what I want to do. I need to be in the theater. And I dropped out, and my parents were so mad. I was like, I want to be an entertainer. That's just what it is. I want to be an entertainer. And they were pissed. Like, they were so mad because they've never seen me perform. This is my first time like they see me perform, but like not in a theater. And this is my first time really expressing it. It's like, where is this coming from? And now they're really supportive. They're very supportive. Like,
but again, people see it as a frivolous thing.
Yeah,
like they don't see it as a real, a real career, but it is.
Yeah, I know. But at first, my parents were just like, yeah, I got all the backlash. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to. I was like, I'm not going back to that school. I made up my mind. I want to be an entertainer. So what I was in school for had nothing to do with entertainment.
What were you in school for?
I mean, I was in school for hair and makeup. So, but I didn't like it, you know. And what made me actually leave the school was I was talking to the principal one day, and I was just like, I don't know. We were just talking. And he was like, where do football players go when they, you know, want to be football players? I was like, to the field. He was like, so that's what you need to do. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And I just stopped.
So did you tell your mom, hey, the principal pushed me out?
No. She not upset. That school's closed down right now. So, I mean.
And how about you?
Like I said, both my parents used to be actors, and I think it helped that I had the big girl job first. And that I got unceremoniously laid off
big girl
from.
job.
And then they were just like, okay, because that was supposed to be a secure job, so there was no job security. So they were just like, all right, go ahead. And then, like I said, with my friends, it was more like, cool. Like, they just didn't really gauge it. It's been more concerns about, like, how are you making money? Because I do have to, like, have some sort of a supplemental income while I'm doing this, but I haven't really had a whole lot of adversity as far as making a decision.
Well, speaking of adversity, as women of color, do you think you face a much greater adversity in theater than your non-black counterparts?
Can I speak on that?
Yeah.
I think it's systemic. I don't necessarily feel like it's personal, but I do feel like there's a lot of parts right now that are written for people that are not of color. And especially if there's a historical play that's normally white history as opposed to people that incorporate all colors. But I wouldn't say it's like personally, you can't be in it because you're black.
Oh, okay.
I just think it's more of a systemic issue.
I agree with that. And I think the stories that are being told are also being told from the white perspective, the white male perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we have, as artists of color, we need to get out there. I mean, like, we all want to be in Wicked. And there have been black artists in Wicked, but you might not be able to be in Wicked because it's not our story. I think that there are stories that can be told and should be told from our perspective. And I think more actors of color would be able to work if we also understood that, like, yeah, you can be on stage and that's great, but then you can also work behind the scenes like someone like me. And, you know, you can be a producer, you can be a director, you can be a writer, which is a triple threat in the production side of theater, and tell the stories that are important to us.
Right.
So I agree. It's not done on purpose,
It's not
but
done on purpose.
you know, and I think that in many ways, not local theater, because I don't think local theater does this well, but I think in general theater does do it well. That they do tell stories where they cast many actors of color. I don't think that works well locally, but I do think it works well in general.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I did have one production that was supposed to take place in Austria during World War II, where the best people for the part just happened to be people of color. But that role was written for somebody that was blonde hair and blue eyes. It wasn't written for somebody like me. But the director felt that he needed to have me in that part. So it does kind of happen, but not as much. But she's right. If it's a bigger theater, they tend to be a little bit more flexible.
Okay.
Or even Broadway. I mean,
Yeah.
Broadway has definitely been known to, like, let me use, again, a show like Wicked. Like, Fiyero has been black. Elphaba has been black. I mean, those are not roles necessarily written for us, by us, but women of color and, you know, men of color have been able to fill those roles. So, again, I think we do it mainstream. I think they do a really good job at actually doing that. I don't think the job is being done locally. I don't think that at all. I mean, I've seen like a local production of like The Wiz, and like you can't have a black Dorothy. Like you just can't tell the story of The Wiz with a white Dorothy.
Right.
I'm sorry, white Dorothy, but like I've seen it told that way, and it's just
So The Wiz was told with a white Dorothy?
with a white Dorothy.
Okay.
And it's a great show, and it's not done that often locally. But when it is done, like
You see my face?
you
Yeah.
see my face. But when it has
The
been
Wiz.
done,
I'm sorry, I'm like Team Diana. Like I just know like the
I
movie.
love
I
that.
haven't seen it live, but I know the movie.
It's a
but
great
I couldn't
show.
imagine having a white woman play Dorothy in The Wiz.
And I
Right.
believe in colorblind casting, I really do, but
Yeah.
only if colorblind casting were equal to all of us, and it's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Mm.
Yeah.
If it were equal to all of us, then fine, but it's not equal to all of us. And
A good reference for that, if you want to look it up later, is the issue with In the Heights in Australia.
Oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah. So
In the Heights.
In the Heights.
That's
Do you want to tell
I
them
love
about
that
what it
show.
is?
So,
It's a great show.
I
It's a
did that
great
show like
show.
3
It's
years ago.
written by Lin-Manuel Miranda,
Who is also,
he also played Hamilton
yeah.
Okay.
in the show Hamilton, and it's
That's the one that Trump was getting all mad at because
yeah,
he, kind of
yeah.
dissed the vice president or something like that. Or
The it wasn't him. The audience
he
did
felt
it. Yeah.
it,
No,
Okay.
but I'm familiar with him. But it's basically about the Latinx experience in New York. And they put the show on in Australia, and all the principal characters were Caucasian. So there was no Latinx, which I get that's a little bit harder to cast in Australia. But there are people of color in Australia that could have done that role, and they weren't really considered at all.
wow.
It was that type of show where they really probably should have read the content more.
I mean,
And-
damn,
and,
we be importing, Australian actors. I mean, like, damn, they running the screens here. Every time I turn around, they
Exactly.
run the screen. So you mean to tell me you couldn't import somebody from, Latin America or somewhere else? Like,
Well, it's not even just that. I mean, they have there's Aboriginal people in Australia.
Right.
There are people of
Of
color
color.
in Australia
that could have did
that
that.
could
those
have
parts.
done that role. That could have done those
Yeah.
parts.
And again, it still boils down to talent. You have to
Yeah.
still be talented. So
Yeah.
no one's saying you give the role to the black person, because
Right.
they're black. You still have to be talented. You have to be able to carry the role. But but you don't just cast a white actor because you want to do In the Heights. Like you have to make a concerted effort to look for and to cast and advertise to the actors of color that are talented if you want to do In the Heights.
Right, and they didn't really do that. That was like the big issue. Wasn't there? The excuse was that they couldn't find anybody, and they come to find out there were plenty of actors available.
Of course
Oh, wow.
they are.
that could
Wow.
have auditioned for the part. That was where the scandal really kind of gained ground, because it's like,
Oh,
no,
wow.
there's-
But that happens with a
Yeah.
lot of organizations where they don't meet people of color where they're at. They just want to put out on their Facebook or their Twitter or their Instagram page with their same followers or the same people that they know. I mean, that they're casting this show that should have a diverse cast, and then they wonder why they don't get it. They don't get it because they're not meeting us where we're at. I mean, I've
Right.
gone through that with like A Little Princess, which I did last Christmas. I just went through that where Peter and the Starcatcher. And because I didn't have control over how we reached out to our audience, we had to ask people personally. I think I've even reached out to you before to like, Pam, I need you to be in the show because we don't have enough actors of color. Because we weren't in charge, as a production team, we weren't in charge of how the organization reached out to artists. So we've had to ask personal artists that we know to come in and, be a part of our production, which required a diverse cast.
Okay.
But they don't meet artists of color, where in their circles. They don't make a concerted effort to get out there.
Okay. Now I do have a question from somebody in the chat. They said, would you say we just need more people of color in the position to make those decisions? I guess it's referring back to what we were
yeah.
saying. Other.
Absolutely.
And I guess the thing is like, we need to let our brothers and sisters know that you don't have to be in front of the camera. There's tons
Plenty
of work.
of
Some of the
jobs,
heavy hitters,
yes.
you don't even know what they look like.
right.
Absolutely, and that's in a lot of industries. That's in the film industry. That's in the TV industry. That's in the the theater industry. Like the heavy hitters are actually not the ones that you see out front, like being the face of something. And absolutely, we need way more people. Every board that I've sat on, I'm the only black face on it. Wilmington Children's Chorus, Delaware All-State Theater, not Christina Cultural Arts Center, but
Oh yeah, we know that. we know they black.
but Wilmington Drama League. I mean, the only person of color. That's ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if we have more people behind the scenes, like, you know what? I noticed there's some great stories out there that's not being written because somebody's not getting the encouragement or that push to like, go ahead and write your story, man, or go ahead and write your story, sis.
Or it's not being bought. See, that's another thing too. The scripts are out there, but are they getting bought and put into production? That's another thing, because you have big issue with that. Proud Mary with Taraji P. Henson. They barely marketed that film until like the week before that it released.
Right.
And like the thing is that I mean, I heard the quality of the movie itself wasn't that great, but the fact of the matter is that they didn't believe in it. The production company didn't believe in it to begin with. So that's really a big hurdle that we have to overcome.
So how can somebody do a good job when you're not going to give them the tools and everything to do the good job? It's just like, all right, yeah, here, we'll go mediocre with it, and we won't talk or promote it or push it out and nothing like that. Because honestly, I didn't know it was a movie because I kept seeing the billboard with the afro and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is this? Somebody got a new album or something? Like, I didn't know about it till I started seeing it more than one day. I think I was stuck in traffic, so I had a chance to actually look at it and was like, oh shit, this is a movie. I'm thinking it was some album or something like that. I thought it was SZA, or her or somebody.
And we can't be the only people of color on these production teams and these board meetings, on these boards, that are pushing for this. Because number one, I don't speak for all black people. I speak for me, and what I know in my experience. And number two, when you do speak out, and I think that we as women face this, you don't want to, you don't want to be perceived as the angry black woman, which is what people will perceive you as when you speak your truth. When you speak your truth, you're the angry black woman somehow or the other that,
Oh, wow.
And that's it's ridiculous, but it is the kind of hurdle I think that we face. I remember telling an organization that they're doing a show that is about an LBGT. He's about a gay choir boy, and they're doing Choir Boy, and they're doing it in February. And I was told by the executive director, well, it's a great marketing tool. And I had to tell her, like, we're not a fucking marketing tool. Right. You don't market to black people in the Black Month, and the only black show out of the 9 that you're doing this year, you don't do the goddamn black show in the Black Month.
Wow.
And she couldn't hear it.
Right.
She couldn't hear it. Like, all she could see was, it's a great marketing tool. Bitch, we're not a fucking marketing tool. You know what I mean? Like, you don't tell our stories in Black History Month just because it's the black story. Like, that's ridiculous.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's that passion I was telling you.
Sorry.
That's that passion.
But I thought that was a ridiculous statement. You do the show because
it is. Like,
it's a
okay, so
ridiculous
February is the only time you really want to do
You're going to tell a black story?
Right.
I think that's ridiculous. It's a great story to tell, and the director is great. You know the director. It's a great story to tell. The director's great. The cast is great. But, I pushed really hard for us to move it out of February because I didn't like the fact that the reason that you want to do it is because you want to appeal to this, this particular audience. That's bullshit.
Yeah, wow.
Now, I had a friend at my day job that, he's white, and he's like, bruh, why does it seem like they only do one black person at a time? With comedy, he's like, because he just got turned on to, I think, Insecure, the show with Ice, something like that. He just found out about that. He's like, y'all fucking love this show.
It's
but
a
it's
great
like,
show.
why is it only one black person at a time? I'm like, I know it's got to be dozens of stories because for him, that's a whole window he's never seen. Like, he knows the dating aspect from him being a white man and him dating white women, but when he sees down the screen, he's like, yo, we pretty much go through the same shit, but just a little different. Like, like he was team, what's the guy's name?
Lawrence.
He was team Lawrence till, he got into the second season. He's like, man, fuck him.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
He's like, he's a fucking bum. He's emotional.
He's a fuck boy.
Yeah.
Like Tasha said, he's a fuck boy.
So he went all in. I'm like, damn, you're right though, because, like not getting off the topic, but, we got Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's not the only funny black guy that's in America.
No.
Really, but that's the one that everybody wants to push. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy him. I love looking at his movies and his comedy specials, but there's hundreds of other comedians I would love to see have a chance at a role because every role isn't, Kevin Hart. Right. That role could have been equally as funny or maybe opened up a different dynamic if it was somebody else. Yeah. And
but Tuck, we see that locally. I mean, you and I constantly discuss that. We see these people that have like the biggest mouths that are always somehow the other. They're also the least talented in many ways.
Right.
But like they're the chosen ones at this point in the game. Where the main society in Delaware or Wilmington has decided to put them on. I mean, we see that all the time. I think that's a microcosm.
Because you and I definitely go at it a lot.
That, absolutely.
I'm like, what the? This motherfucker, he's just a good salesperson.
Right, he has a big mouth.
But he's garbage. But
he's garbage.
By the time you sold him on it, the person that spoke on it probably sees that as garbage. Was like, oh, I'm in too deep now. I'm gonna put this motherfucker out here, so I can't really say nothing. So they end up fucking up the market, so to speak.
So what happens, I think, locally is also happening, like you said, at a national level. Like, why are we only, like, why is it the, and you know what, and why are we only one at a time? And quite frankly, me personally, like, I said this to someone last night, like, I'm tired of playing your happy Negro. Like, I'm tired of that. I'm not here for that.
And I think that's why so many people, especially people of color, are so hype about Black Panther, because if you really know the story behind Black Panther, he didn't come out to be a superhero. He came out for fucking revenge.
Yeah. And
once he got his revenge, he found an additional reason to stay and help and be a part of the Avengers. It wasn't like he was like, I came here for some beef, and we just happened to run into this team, and they're like, oh, this dude's something else. We can't really stop him by himself. And then when they find out he has a whole city that's just equally as dope as him, it's like, wow. And I think that's why so many of us are hype about it, because we're not a drug dealer, we're not a crackhead,
right.
we're not a pimp, we're not a hoe, nothing like that. We are actually out here doing some really good shit.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people like really hype on it and stuff, because I know I can't wait for it.
It looks amazing. That's just the comic book nerd in me. Like, I work comic book conventions for free. like, I'm just really excited to see this. Like, I saw Civil War, and honestly, he and Spider-Man, the kid that played Spider-Man, were like the best part of that film.
You're right about that. Definitely. Can't wait to that part 2 that come out. But getting back to theater and everything like us, like I said, it's more than enough room for us to have more people than just one person.
Absolutely.
Like whoever's hot right now, there's about another 30 at least we can bring along and stuff like that. And I think sometimes when people make it, they're so concerned with staying there, they kind of don't
forget about everyone else.
The life raft for everybody else until their stuff starts declining. Like, oh yeah, I'm starting to lose favorites, so let me bring somebody else to kind of push up. Because even think back in the 90s, like I'm dating myself, but in the 90s we had so many movies that were coming out. Like it might have been direct-to-video, this and that, like that, movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we had a lot of stuff. Like we were really running TV, and people didn't get hip to. Like it was Fox that kind of kicked the door open. Then I think it was UPN that changed the WB or something like that.
Right,
like
in the 90s, we had like Moesha, we had like Living Single, we had Martin.
And I think we definitely need that back and stuff. Cause like it's actually something. It was something I was watching about this doctor or something. I think it's called The Resident, and it's this typical story. White guy comes in, he's unorthodox, he's against the book, but he's good. Mm-hmm. We done seen that before. Me personally, I want to see how would an Indian woman handle that. How would a black woman handle that? Or how would an Asian woman handle that role? Like we didn't need another blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man for that role. Mm-hmm. That show, although it's okay, I think it could have been so much more if they put a woman of non-white background into it. Because we would have the different dynamic. Like he's white guy, so it's like okay, they're not gonna come on hard to him as they would do an Asian woman's like, oh, throw some ice on him and, bring his temperature down real quick. They'd have walked her ass out the door. But the white guy do is like, we're going to reprimand you, but you come back to work tomorrow, Right. I think it would have been a better, I think a lot of stories that I see that fail because people are tired of seeing white people in these roles. I mean, not to be all pro-black or anti-white, nothing like that. I just think if people opened up and said, you know what, maybe like that one TV show, Smilf, I guess it's about a young mother and stuff like that. We don't need to see the young white woman because we had that with Weeds, we had that with a whole bunch of, we had that with Girls or whatever. We didn't have that. Let's see another woman. Like that's why I like She Gotta Have It. You know what I mean? Because I thought
that was a good show. That
was good. I mean, I liked the original movie, and I think the show was good. But I think people really need to start opening up. Be like, oh man, white people ain't the only one with the problems. Mm-hmm. Like I would love to see a true horror flick where it's non-white people, Because I think we just handle stuff a little different.
Yes.
Like, you see me running, everybody else going to run.
Right.
Pam's not going to be like, what's y'all running for?
Absolutely.
Why y'all running?
Absolutely not.
You know, it's totally different. But getting back, let's see here. Have you anybody lost or gained friends? Well, of course you gain friends in the journey, but have you lost friends on this journey?
Absolutely.
And
I
everything?
mean, we know what I talked about. So, you know, the last organization that I just did a project for, somehow the other, and I'm not saying it had anything to do with me being a woman of color, but like somehow the other, there was a mistrust there, or a disconnect or something. But basically, like we were trying to raise funds for our production, and
Oh, we're talking about the car wash situation.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Yeah, that
accused of stealing funds to pay for my lighting designer. From the org, yeah, it was nasty. And then, of course, when everything went down, then everyone wants to come and kiss my ass and be like, "Oh, Ivy, that's not really happened." Well, what the hell, you know, what really happened?
Right.
So absolutely, and I don't have time for that. I would never, if you know me and you know truly who I am, you know I would never steal from the arts. Not once. I work too hard for the productions that I work on. I've worked too hard for this organization to steal $500 from me, and that affects my real life.
Right.
I mean, that affects my real life. I would never put my reputation on the line like that. So absolutely, there are just people just recently, as of this year, November, I'm talking about. So in the last couple of months, that I've just cut off, and I will never work for them, with them, anything again.
Wow, that's got to be rough though, because that's messing with your character.
You don't mess
You know
with
what I
my
mean?
character. I am, no, I would never do that. I've worked. Personally, I've worked too hard for the arts and too hard for, organizations and too hard for children to ever take from them.
Right.
Ever.
And
we're not talking about $500,000, we're talking about $500.
And I remember,
Why would I ever steal
I remember
that?
this conversation because you were like, well, damn, I paid for such and such out of my own pocket.
Oh, I paid $400 out of my own pocket for the lighting designer.
that
and I-
nobody wanted to invest because it wasn't their idea.
Exactly, and again, that's just making all of us look good. I mean, like one of the things that I'm very conscious of is like I'm not saying I'm not difficult to deal with, because I know I can be difficult to deal with, but I'm not doing anything that's not going to make all of us look good. If the production looks good, then the organization looks good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the people who are coming to see this play, this show, this musical theater, production, they don't know that Ivy Brock paid $400 for the light. They don't know.
Yeah, we don't put that on the program.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
We're not advertising that. All they know is this is a phenomenal production, and every time I come, it's great. So absolutely, I've lost friends, like people that I've said that I will not work with you again, and I will not put up with you again because I think that you're ridiculous.
Oh, wow. And how about you, Pam?
Definitely.
You definitely lost friends?
Yes. I think all the friends that I have now are just
New
artists. Yes. I have maybe like 2 friends that are from like middle school maybe, but we don't talk like that. It's kind of like, oh, I see you when I see you type of thing. But I've definitely lost a lot of friends. It's a disconnect. Like it's just like we just don't really relate anymore. So.
How about you, Sean?
I've been very fortunate to retain a lot of my original friends as well as gaining new ones. But I definitely did have a friend that was trying to sabotage.
Oh, sabotage.
Yeah. I won't go too deep into it, but I noticed a pattern of and I read an article about this. This is how I knew it was happening. That there are friends that will sabotage, like when you first get married and you have that one friend that will constantly drum up a crisis to divert your attention away from your new husband. But they said that also applies to women in careers. If they take on a new career, that happens too. So I was in that type of situation where every time I would have good news or like there's a new project or something new, they
come with something else.
They would come with something else.
Yeah,
and
I think we
it's
all face that.
terrible because I'm really not the type of person. There's friends that I've lost over time, mostly because we lost touch. In my life, I think I maybe actually had to personally drop like 3 people because they just were too. They just got to be too much.
Yo, she good because I done dropped so many people.
I know
I
that's
I will cut you
I
in
was
a
saying,
minute.
I'm just
I
thinking
will
about
cut
people.
you off.
But you know
Yeah.
what it is? Because
Gotta
it's
cut
like
someone off
I'm one of
today.
those people, I'm so cool with everybody. And like I was even cool with her during the entire time that she was doing this. It just got to the point where I was just like, I can't. You know what I mean? Like
Wow.
I am now burning out because of you. You know.
I feel like I'm at a point right now where I just can't, period. Like, so if someone just comes to me with like bad energy or just like throwing me off, like I literally had to send a message to a friend that I had for maybe like 6 or 7 years last night because I just felt bad energy, and I'm like, you know what, love you, but I just can't.
Right.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah,
And that's just how it is.
And it sucks when you have to do that, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it
easy.
sucks, but at the same time, it's like I feel relieved. Like
Yeah.
now I can move on and I can get done what I have to do, and I don't have to, worry about your response. I don't know if that's
And
the
plus,
petty.
that's Petty Pam.
I mean, you know what I'm
I don't fuck with Petty Pam.
I don't.
Petty Pam cut you too short to shit. Don't fuck with Petty Pam. She about that life.
Seriously, I always tell myself, like, when it comes to friends or like even jobs and stuff, I'm like, God does not want me unhappy, so let me make myself happy and just not deal with it.
Amen.
That's just how I live.
Well, let me hit y'all with this one, man. How do you prep for an audition? And Ivy, for you, it's like, do
not me.
you sit in on auditions?
Yeah.
And how do you judge on auditions? But I want to start with
You start
Tama,
with them. Start
and
with
then
the
we'll come back to you
actors.
because Ivy would go in and she's
Yeah, because
like,
I'm not an actor.
boy, this is what we do. We get a bottle of wine and we
True.
talk and we hash out everything.
Yeah, start with the
And stuff like
actors
that.
because I'm not an
So
actor.
for me, if I'm fortunate enough to get the sides early, sides are like small pieces of script. If I'm fortunate enough to get those early, then I do try to read on those, try to get some context. If it's a show that's been run before, I'll do a little research on like how it's supposed to be run. But that's mainly what I do. If it's a cold read, I'll meditate. That's all you can do. Meditate, because you don't know what you're reading until you get in there. So it's just now it's all about making sure that your nerves are
Yes.
completely balanced before you go in.
Yo, Pam, your whole face was like, woosah.
Yeah.
No, for real, 'cause I know how that feels.
Yeah.
Like, I know how it feels. It's like, what am I even getting into? Like, who is this person? Like, what's the story? I know for me, if it's a show that has been ran before, I like to watch it, and then I'll probably do my research, because if it's like a musical, that's what it usually is. I'll do my research to see what songs are similar that I could sing, and I'll pick maybe like 2 songs. Like at this point, I kind of have I have like a whole music book, so I have a whole bunch of different songs that I just know, so I'm just prepared to audition for, certain roles.
So you have like a black book of music or something like
Yeah,
that. Like,
It's not a black book.
It's
but-
actually it's blue actually, but
I'm sorry, I'm gonna do that. Every book is black. Now it's hard.
yeah, I have like all my music in there, and then I'll just probably practice one of the songs. But for me personally, I like to do my research, but I like to, if I got the part, like I like to do the show in a way that I want to do it, so I don't want to watch too much or dig too much into how someone else did it. So I'll watch it once, and then I'll find music, and then I used to overthink it, and now I just don't. I'm more comfortable with who I am and just being myself, so I just don't overthink anymore, and it's helped me a lot, and it's a lot easier for me.
Okay.
So
I can definitely say, as someone who sits on this side of the audition table and not on the side that they're on, what we look for when we have people audition for us is definitely, personality. I can say, like, if we ask for something in the description, please be prepared to bring it. If we ask you for it, we want it, it's not negotiable, be prepared. There's so many actors that we don't work with because they came to our audition, unprepared. So, so if you come to an audition, please be prepared. But at the same time that we want you to be prepared, we want you to relax. We're not judging you as on this side of the audition table. We want to see your personality. We want to see who you are. We want to see how you work with the material. So, I
You
know
just want
that,
to see the best person for the role.
absolutely, and we know that the actors are nervous, and we get that, and we understand that, and we just want to see like what you're bringing to the role. And again, if you don't get the part, if an actor doesn't get the part, it doesn't mean that they weren't good. It just means that they weren't the director's vision for that particular role. So that's for us what we want to see. Also, don't talk shit about the production, and don't talk shit about, no, seriously. Don't talk shit.
You mean somebody that didn't get the part might talk shit about it?
Well,
Or they talk shit about...
But they could be also talking shit in like the, you never know. I mean, like, I've had auditions where we have spies sitting in the audition room where we hold the actors. We put out a spy in there because we want to see how they act when they're not in our audition room.
Oh, okay.
So don't talk shit about the production or the people or.
So they might be in the room talking about, man, I'm just gonna do this
right.
shit. You know, I'm gonna get it out the way.
But
it
you don't
really
know.
my thing, but you know.
And that happens. And I've had a spy sitting there that'll be like,
Wow.
that will report back to me like, you don't want to hire this actor because this is the way they behave.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So, tip, FYI.
Yeah.
But seriously, you know, just bring your, and not to say take it seriously, but you don't have to take it so seriously. Like, it's not all about your day. You should treat the audition like, I'm coming in, I'm doing my audition, and I keep going on about my day.
Mm-hmm.
It's one more thing. It's part of your day.
Right.
It's not something special.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, it is, but like, it's not like, oh, you know, it's not like the prom or.
It's work.
It's
you know?
work,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's definitely
you're
work.
just clocking in those hours, basically. That's all that is.
Agreed.
Now to piggyback on that, how do y'all prep for opening night?
Breathe, meditate. Normally
Oh my God,
in
yes.
live theater, though, we normally have a final dress the night before the show goes live. So that's when we're in full costume. We run it all the way through. All the technical issues should be out of the way. We have a little prayer because, you know, that hopefully everything goes well. But that's typically how a theater production runs. And then the day of the production, I don't know about Pam. I have like some rituals, like I make sure like I don't drink caffeine because otherwise I'll get anxiety on stage, things like that. So
Petty Pam?
For opening night for me, I make sure I drink tons of water the day before, that day. I drink ginger tea, throat coat.
So you pretty much stay away from caffeine too.
Well, yeah, I
For the
just,
exception.
I pretty much only drink water and tea.
Okay.
Period. Like I really drink like water and ginger tea or throat coat, like literally throughout my day. So,
Nah, I drink whiskey.
I mean, but if it helps you.
I mean, if that would help me, then
Yeah,
I would
right.
do
I mean, if that's your what
if that
helps
would
you.
help me, I do the same thing. But that's pretty much how I prepare. And then I just meditate and I talk to God. I'm like, God, please don't make my voice crack. Let me hit all my notes. I hope I don't trip on nobody's foot. Let me remember all my lines because it's live. Like you can't say cut. Like you got to keep going. So. Yeah.
Now I've seen Ivy prepare and everything like that, and I know I keep my distance. I let her do a thing, and if she needs me, she knows where to find me. I don't get in the way because Ivy is like total focus, and she moves quick from room to room. She moves
It's
very
a lot
quick.
to do.
And she'll holler at you in passing and be like, oh, some water or food over there, boy. Did you have your seat? Okay. Like you are all over the map.
But for me, my most important thing is, and I think the actors that I've worked with, so when I work on a production, my most important job and my most important thought is to keep the actors happy, to keep them relaxed, to keep them happy, to not stress them out so that they have a great performance. So when we get into tech, I always make it my job to make this sure that they're well hydrated, well fed, that they understand that we appreciate them, that they're not too tired. So that chaos that you're talking about, that chaos that I'm doing, that you're seeing as someone who's coming to see the show, that chaos for me is I want to make sure that my actors are well taken
So
care
you're
of.
absorbing that chaos to keep them from having to deal
I don't
with
want
it and everything.
I don't want that
So-
chaos to affect my actors. I want them to be relaxed. I
So
want them to be
okay, I can get
Yeah.
that. I can get because everybody else has been kind of chill. I'm like, wow, Ivy's all over. You know, from a person outside looking in, it's like, yo, why don't she chill? But you're doing 1,000 different things to keep the staff and the team,
the actors in
and
particular,
everything.
but to keep the actors, relaxed, because again, once you get to opening night, it's out of your hands. As a director, as a producer, the show is out of your hands. It's in their hands and in the hands of the stage manager. So you want to make sure that they're happy. Everything that you can, if they need. I mean, I even do their damn laundry. I mean, I stick in their dressing rooms, like I stick like a laundry basket, and like if we need to have their laundry done, and it has to be done every night, we're gonna do their laundry because we want to do everything that we can to keep the the actors relaxed
wow,
and happy.
that's what's up. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like I said, well, I will, but I'm
But
sure
yeah.
some people don't, but I will.
But yeah, let me ask you this. Let's say something goes wrong. How do you handle that? Is that something that you can handle on the fly, or you kind of like play it off or something?
for me personally, I love it when, not that I want something to go wrong, but the best thing about live theater is that it kicks ass. It's different every night. When something goes wrong and you can work through that, it's an amazing thing. I mean, like, when I saw
the audience never knows.
The audience never knows. And it's for me, at that point, I'm just sitting in the audience watching the show, which is one of the reasons why when I work on a production, I watch every show. But it's amazing to me, and I get such a thrill when I watch the actors kick ass. You know, like if they encounter a problem, someone drops a line, they forget a song, you know, a prop falls down, whatever, and see the actors sort of like take on that responsibility and they fix it. That's kick ass for me, and I'm like, that's amazing. I'm like, yes. So I love actually when that sort of thing kind of happens.
So Pam, Shannon, y'all.
Basic live theater, you can. There's no do-over. So
You
you
go.
are powering through. So yeah, we've had that. I've actually had the good fortune of a cast member. The light fell. Her light fell, and she was supposed to be in it. And she adjusted. Thankfully, she was sitting at a table, and she leaned in to get into the light and just did her entire like first.
So she
opening
changed her whole
monologue.
perspective, so the audience was none the wiser.
Basically, she just made it happen. So like but like she said, there's anything can happen in live theater, and you just have to like roll with the punches, basically.
And it's amazing. You get like this. At least I do. I get this like sort of like rush of adrenaline. It's a thrill.
Yeah. Yep, I get it too.
Yeah.
But y'all gotta ask you this: do y'all have you ever got like gifts at the end of a performance?
Of course,
like,
yeah.
somebody sent you something or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
you actually
We
got
all
gifts.
usually give each other gifts.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Oh, so y'all giving gifts to each other. I'm talking about, you know, maybe somebody was so moved by your performance, they send some roses back, or they send some bottle of wine
I
or
never
whatever
got
and
that.
stuff. Huh?
but I said I never got that. But
I've gotten flowers before.
but yeah, maybe for my family, yeah.
Okay, because
Some flowers.
like
It
what
might
you're
not
talking
come.
about.
It might not come live like right then and there, but
Yeah.
it'll come
yeah.
in terms of like a donation or
Yeah.
you know, like if they saw the show on Friday night and they were so moved and touched, they'll bring back other people to see it,
Right.
Yeah.
or they'll
Yes.
buy like dinner for the cast or whatever, something like
Right.
that. It might not come right away, but if someone is really touched and moved by the show, it might come in a different way later.
Okay.
Right.
And real quick, got a couple people in the chat room. What's up, Wesley? I appreciate you getting the shirt, fam. You know, hey man, you know, help your boy out, man. You know, the links on the website and everything. And Giovanna said hi
Hey.
to you. and
Hey,
everything.
how's it going? Hey, girl,
Okay.
hey.
She hit you with the hey girl, hey. You know they cool.
Yeah.
Like, hey girl, hey, and everything. That's what's up. Let me get to this question. Were you ever overlooked for a part or a position due to your race? Ivy?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I achieve everything I'm supposed to achieve, so I don't know. But you know, I don't think it helps. I don't think it hurts to be
That's
a
some
black
humble
woman.
pie.
No. I'm saying I don't think it hurts to be a black woman.
No,
You know,
no,
in my
definitely
position,
not.
because I think people realize that they need to have like diverse voices. So I think when I say, "Oh, I really want to be on this board," or "I really want to be blah 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 blah," I think people have always been quick to sort of jump on it. So for me, no. But I'm not trying to not be humble, but I'm saying no.
How about you, Pam?
Ask me the question one more time.
Were you ever overlooked for a part due to your race?
I feel like I definitely have been, and then it's
But you just don't have concrete proof?
yeah, and then it's just like, oh, ensemble. But not saying there's anything wrong with ensemble, but personally for me, I just want to grow. So I want to get, lead roles or, some type of principal role. And if I'm just not given that, and sometimes I feel like it may be because of my race or people not giving me the opportunity to really show them what I can bring to the table, it's just like ensemble. But at this point, I used to be like, okay, but then right now I'm just like, no,
You know you're better than that.
Right, that's just how I feel. That's why I'm like doing, well, it's not why I'm doing Petty Pam, but that's why I'm like just doing like my own thing right now. Like I haven't really been auditioning for anything else because I want to do my own thing because I know what I'm worth and I know what I can like really bring to the table. So.
So for me, I have a very unique part in this because I don't just do theater. I like do film and like television. For me, I identify as a black woman, but I don't appear that way. So oftentimes, there's roles that are written for black women that I can't even play. I just do not look like a traditional black woman. So I oftentimes get thrown into roles of somebody that's Middle Eastern, which is part of my heritage. I recently was on the show Bull. I played a Native American.
I could see that.
Yeah. But like, if I wanted to apply for a role that was specifically written for a black woman, more than likely they're not going to consider me.
Just out of curiosity, what is your background?
So I am mixed with everything. I
I think we all are, but you definitely.
Yeah, so like to summarize, West African, Middle Eastern, European. I thought it was Native American, but it turns out that's not the case. But various countries within that background. But it's normally the question I get is, what are you? That's my normal question. Even though
you're a human being.
Yeah, but my mom's black. I'm black. That's the way I look, just like her. So that's the way that I go by it. But production companies don't normally see it that way. They don't see me as a black woman. So yeah.
Well, I see you as a black woman.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I see Ivy as my drinking partner and Pam as being petty. So it is what it is, you know. It is what it is and everything. So, ladies, wow, we really ran this one now. You know, I didn't think we were gonna be this long.
I know, because
but we was getting such good stuff on everything, and I just love seeing the energy and talking and everything like that. So I hope this won't be you guys' last time here, you know, because I know there's tons of stuff we didn't really touch on and everything, but I wasn't going to take up your whole Sunday night and everything like that. But I appreciate, you know, Pam getting all dialed up in the bathroom and everything. I appreciate you allowing me to destroy your name several times.
Thank you.
And I appreciate Ivy coming through, even though I omitted the wine, because Ivy's like,
oh my
wine?
God, I couldn't believe that when I texted
wine.
you were like, I don't have any wine. I was like, what the hell?
I know. I'm gonna blame it on Prina because she wasn't here. She wasn't here nudging me like, you gotta get this, you gotta get this, you gotta get this. So yeah, so that's what that is. So, my last question for the day would be, what would be your advice to someone wanting to get into theater? What would be your advice to them? Yeah, we're gonna start with you.
Okay, yeah, because I'm new.
Yeah.
Community theater is a big one. Mainly because, first of all, you're going to cut your teeth on community theater. It's you have to pull a show together with little to no budget. You try to put on professional quality. So just because there's no budget doesn't mean that it's not professional. And you just meet a whole community of people. I feel like I'm at where I'm at right now because I started in community theater, and people know people and they just refer you to other places, or they say, hey, talk to this person. So
Okay.
I would say community theater.
Cool.
My advice would honestly to just be yourself and have fun, enjoy yourself, create. That's my advice.
I would piggyback on what Pam says. Take it seriously. It's
Right.
still, I mean, even if it's community theater, you know, just because it is community theater, you don't have to treat it like less than somehow or the other, like less than professional theater. Be
Because we know
professional.
you'll have some spies in the room.
Well, I mean, I will. So, but treat it professionally, treat it like a job. But at the same time, have fun. I mean, it's not. I mean, we're not curing cancer. It's supposed to be fun.
Right.
It's supposed to be fun for the audience. It's supposed to be fun for the people that work on it, the actors, the production team. So, and it's something that should bring us all joy. So, treat it as such. It should be a joyful project that we're all working on. So.
Well, lady, Shama. No, Pam, Princess Petty Pam, and Ivy. I think that's the longest we ever talked.
That is not the
being
longest-
sober.
Oh, it's sober.
Being
yes.
sober.
Okay, sober. I'll go with it.
Because wasn't no
It's
bottle
not.
popping. Yeah, we've been
I know,
sober
what
and
the
everything.
hell? We're like not like, you know, fawning over like glasses of wine at the Nomad. What the hell?
You know.
I was just there last night with BT Dubs.
Mm.
Because we know Darnell's show let out,
Yeah.
so, you know.
Yeah, but damn, I'm honored that you ladies came through, and I definitely want all of you guys to come back when my co-host is here, so she can kind of elbow me and be like, "Move, boy, this is girl talk and stuff. Go get that wine. I'll handle it from here." And stuff. Because that's what it would have happened. She'd have been like, "You go get the wine," and everything like that. And I just want to thank everybody out there for tuning in. If you haven't already, definitely check us out on Facebook. I've been flashing their names and their social medias. Ivy is Golden. Pam is Pam.atk. I don't know what ATK stands
It's my
for.
last name. My name is Pam Atkinson. It's Pam Ack.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Shama would have the whole government name on there and
Yeah.
everything like that. She got the whole government. Let me run that back real quick because I was running my mouth. Shama Kassan?
Casson.
Oh my God, I was destroying names. Oh my God, you know what? I'm gonna start saying these names 7 times before we go live and everything. But again, I appreciate everybody checking out BOREDinDE. This show will be up on the podcast probably by Tuesday or Wednesday. So if you got iTunes, you can go to podcast, look us up at BOREDinDE on Google Play. BOREDinDE is on there, and also we'll have it on the YouTube page, and it'll be for replay on the Facebook page and everything like that. So once again, thank you for joining us here at BOREDinDE. And ladies, I hope y'all enjoy your night, and I will have wine one day soon. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
See y'all.